was younger, I was pretty into cars. I bought my first car right when I turned 16, had some money saved up. It was a 1994 Ford Mustang, deep green, and I had $3,400 to spend. That's what the car cost. And I knew as a 16-year-old that I really didn't know much about cars, and this was a huge decision. I mean, obviously, this is all the money I had in the world. And so I spent so much time researching what to buy, how to tell if it was a good deal. I'm on Craigslist every day for months. And I finally get this car, and I'm going to test drive a car for the first time in my life, and I'm asking people for advice. What do I do? I talk to my dad. My dad says one of the most important things is you got to take that car to a mechanic and have a mechanic look at it and tell you if it's in good shape. And so I listen to the advice, and I do that, and the mechanic says, it's an old car. Who knows what could happen, but it's okay. And I buy it, and it works out great. I drive it all through the rest of high school, and I kind of get this bug for buying and selling cars, finding good deals, fixing them up. I kind of trade things in and out. My 94 Mustang becomes a 2002 Mustang, and eventually a Mazda RX-8, and then I get married, and the cars get a lot less exciting, and I got a Honda Civic, but every car I sold for more money than I bought for it, and I felt really good about that. And I became good at this. I became successful. I was making money on cars. It had all worked out. Every decision had gone my way. And a couple years into our marriage, we needed a new car, and I did my thing. I scoured Craigslist, found great deals. I found this Acura TL. It was a deal that was so good, so good. Too good? We don't know. But really good. And I'm going out to test drive this car, and the thing is, I'm like, here's the deal. I've been paying mechanics to look at these cars my whole life. They've never said anything worthwhile. Every time it's just been like, yeah, go ahead. And I'm like, why am I paying these people $150 to just tell me the car is fine? I kind of know what I'm doing. I know how to tell if a car's been taken care of. I can open up the hood and look in there. And so I don't pay the mechanic this time. And I go out and I test drive the Acura, and it goes great, and it's well taken care of, low miles. It's a really nice car. It's the nicest car I've ever bought. And I give the guy my money, and I drive it home, and Kate comes out and looks at it, and she's thrilled. And leather seats, my goodness. And the whole thing, and it all goes really well until the next morning when I wake up and try to drive this car to work. I'm not kidding you. It breaks down so fast, it's not even funny. I barely make it out of my neighborhood. The car breaks down. It just will not drive. And it turned out that it had significant transmission issues that only revealed themselves when the engine was hot. And so the guy had left it running for 20 minutes before I showed up. And the next morning when it was cold, it was undrivable. Okay, and it needed thousands of dollars of work to fix this car. And the reason why I tell you this story is because we're going to talk this morning about the idea of success, okay, about finding success in what you do and how sometimes success can actually get you to failure. We're going to talk about how God's actually involved in the successes of your life. And so I want you to think about this morning, where are you trying to find success right now? In life, in our culture, we often associate success primarily with work. That's an example. Success in your career, promotions, your projects succeeding, whatever it is. But there's so much more than that, right? Think about the success that you want to find in your relationships right now, in your friendships, your marriage as a parent. I think about the success just in your own well-being. Who are you trying to become right now? Where are you looking for success? And how do you think God is involved in the midst of this? We're going to see a pattern in our story this morning. We're in the book of 1 Samuel. We're looking at the story overall of David, but we're still kind of in the beginning stages, and we're actually going to hear from King Saul this morning, the first king of Israel, the king that preceded David. And what we're going to see is the first example of a pattern of success that will play itself out over and over. It plays itself out not only in the story, but also in our lives, okay? And this is the cycle. This is the success cycle. It starts with humility. In the beginning, when you're just getting started somewhere, you don't know what you're doing, and you need help, and you're humble. So in my story, think about buying a car as a 16-year-old. I'm researching every site, car and driver, whatever. I'm asking for advice. My dad's telling me what to do. I'm taking it to an expert. You start humble. Very often, humility will give you some amount of success. Success actually gives you power. now you have some knowledge. You know what to do. Maybe you have some influence. Maybe people are coming to you, asking you how you were able to be successful in what you've done. You look pretty good. There's a power that comes with it. Power can very quickly take you to pride. The Acura, okay? Didn't take it to the mechanic, thought I could do it on my own. And pride will take you to failure, and you hope that failure leads you back to humility. Not always, but you hope it takes you back to humility. This cycle is going to play out over and over again in our story. I'm certain it's played out in your life already. You probably are somewhere in the midst of this cycle right now, whether you know it or not. And so as we enter this story with King Saul, I just want you to think about it. Where are you right now on the success cycle? Where are you chasing success right now? Our story is going to begin with Saul's greatest moment as king. If you were with us last week, Steve did a great job of introducing us to King Saul, this very conflicted person. He has high highs and low lows. At moments, he seems like he's all totally committed to God, and then at other moments, he's not at all. He's a very confusing character. He has mixed motives, and there's a lot of failure ahead for Saul, but not today. Today is the high point of Saul's reign. This is his moment to shine. We're going to see him at his best this morning, and it starts with a threat from the enemies of God's people. So this is 1 Samuel chapter 11, verse 1. You can turn there with me, or you can turn your attention to the screen. We're told this. Nahash, the Ammonite, came up and laid siege to Jabesh Gilead. All the men of Jabesh said to him, "Make a treaty with us, and we will serve you." So here's what's going on. The Ammonites are an enemy of God's people. They're on the eastern border of Israel, and they've been invading. They've been terrorizing the villages of Israel on the border. Nahash is their wicked king, doesn't love God, doesn't care what God says, and they come and they lay siege to this town of Israel, Jabesh Gilead. And the people of Jabesh, they know they're no match at all for the Ammonite army, and so they just give up immediately. They surrender before the battle's even started. They say, "Make a treaty with us, like, we're not going to fight you," okay? And they say that to Nahash, the wicked king of the Ammonites, and they're hoping, right, that, yeah, they're going to be under the control of these wicked people, but maybe they'll show mercy if they just surrender straight out. But this is the response. Nahash the Ammonite replied, I'll make a treaty with you on this condition, that I gouge out everyone's right eye and humiliate all of Israel. Those are my terms. You can surrender, we won't kill you, but we're going to gouge out everybody's right eye and humiliate you. How does that sound? And here's the thing, Nahash actually has a reputation at this point. He's been doing this. It's not an empty threat. There's been other villages. He has gouged out everyone's right eye. And kind of the strategy is that if we take your right eye, then you're not going to be as effective in battle, but you can still farm and you can still, give us tribute as you bring the crops in. And so if you're in Jabesh, what do? You can't fight. You know they're going to beat you. Your only other option is to have all the men lose their right eye. It's not good. And so they think of, is there any third option here? And what they come up with is, can we phone a friend? All right, so don't do anything to us for 7 days, the elders of Jabesh said to him, and let us send messengers throughout the territory of Israel, and then if no one saves us, we will surrender to you. Let us go ask everybody else if they'll come fight with us. It's interesting, right? What an ask. And if they don't come, then go ahead and gouge out our eyes. So why on earth would Nahash accept this, right? Like, why is he letting them go ask for help? And the thing is, he's been doing this multiple places. Remember, at this time, Israel's not a united nation. They are this spread out association of tribes. No one has ever come to help before. So, he doesn't think anyone's coming. And he wants to avoid the battle. He doesn't want to lose any men. And so he agrees. He says, yeah, you're on the clock. 7 days, go ask for help, see what happens, okay? So they send the messengers out, and they go to the other towns. And one of the towns they bring the news to is the town of Gibeah, which is King Saul's hometown. And we're going to find out what happens when this new king hears of this threat to God's people. When the messengers came to Gibeah, Saul's hometown, and told the terms to the people, all wept aloud. I mean, you can just imagine the terror, the fear. I mean, this established, powerful nation with their army is coming in, gouging people's eyes out. The people in Gibeah are probably thinking, are we next? But the question is, what's the king going to do? Okay? And we're told that just then, Saul, the new king, was coming in from the field behind his oxen. What's the matter with the people? Why are they weeping? Saul inquired, and they repeated to him the words of the men from Jabesh. Saul comes in, he sees the entire town is weeping. He goes, what on earth is going on here? Tell me. And they tell him the news. And we're going to hear Saul's response in just a second, but I want you not to miss this aspect from this verse right here. Saul was doing what? He came in from the field behind his oxen. This is the king of Israel, okay? And the reason why I point that out is this is Saul's most humble moment as king. It's never going to get more humble than this. At this point, being king is kind of his side hustle. Like, he's still farming. He's not ruling. He's not being served. No one's bringing him the feast in the evening. He is plowing the ground along with everybody else. He's in over his head. He's never done this before. He doesn't know what he's supposed to do. He's at his most humble in this story. And what we see first in Saul's greatest success, which is about to happen, is that humility often leads to success. Being at your lowest moment, recognizing you're in over your head, knowing that you're not capable enough, needing to rely on God, that's not a bad place to be. You will find some of the most success in your life when you know you've got nothing to bring and you're asking God, God, will you show up? I've asked you to think about the success that you're seeking in your life right now, the stuff that you want to see happen. Is this where you are? Do you recognize that it isn't going to be you? It isn't going to be your ability, your intelligence, how well you can navigate the situation? Do you recognize you need the humility to say, God, will you show up? That's where Saul's success begins. And in the success cycle, we're going to see that his humility is going to lead him straight to success. This isn't just like a motivational talk from this story. This isn't like just something that happens in Saul's life. This is something the Bible actually tells us over and over again. This is how God designed the universe. Okay, God loves to bless the humble. He loves to give favor to those who recognize their need for him. One of my favorite verses of this, and there's so many verses that say this same thing. James chapter 4, verse 6. God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. So when you humble yourself, I'm not promising you that means that you will find the kind of success you're looking for, that everything will work out. I'm not saying that. But I am saying God promises, he loves to show up for the humble. And so often you will find success when you start in that humble place. And that is what happens to Saul. So this is what happens. He comes in, he's been farming, and he sees what's going on. And this is what happens next. When Saul heard these words, the Spirit of God suddenly came powerfully on him. And his anger burned furiously. He took a team of oxen, cut them in pieces, and sent them throughout the territory of Israel by messengers who said, this is what will be done to the ox of anyone who doesn't march behind Saul and Samuel. And as a result, the terror of the Lord fell on the people, and they went out united. Okay, this is the transformation of Saul from farmer to king, right? I mean, and really to emphasize it, he cuts up his oxen, he's done with them, he's king now, and he sends them out everywhere, and you think that's probably weird and kind of, over the top, but there's no Marco Polo, right? I mean, he's got to get their attention somehow, so he sends this ox out, and the message is, fall in line. The king is on the move. It is time to submit to the king. And that might sound prideful to you, but don't forget how that passage started. He's overcome by the Spirit of God. This is Saul empowered, doing what he's called to do as king, uniting the people around. And you can see that by just the last verse we read. The terror of the Lord fell on the people. It doesn't say the terror of Saul fell on the people. This isn't just him leveraging his human strength and might. No, this is him serving the Lord, doing what God calls him to do, and the people respond out of fear of God, and it works. He does what nobody really thought could be done. Saul counted them, everybody who responded, he counted them at Bezek. There were 300,000 Israelites and 30,000 men from Judah. He told the messengers who had come, "Tell this to the men of Jabesh Gilead, deliverance will be yours tomorrow by the time the sun is hot." So the messengers told the men of Jabesh, and they rejoiced. This is Saul's shining moments. 330,000 people respond, unthinkable in this time. And with confidence, he says to the vulnerable people in Jabesh, "We're coming to deliver you." And he puts his money where his mouth is. That's exactly what happens. The next day, Saul organized the troops into 3 divisions. During the morning watch, they invaded the Ammonite camp. They slaughtered them until the heat of the day. There were survivors, but they were so scattered that no 2 of them were left together. I mean, just complete success. No caveat. They do everything they hope to do. They defeat God's enemies. They protect the vulnerable. Everyone's following behind Saul. And one of the realities of success, it's just true, success often brings you power. That happens to Saul here, okay? When we look at the success cycle, it starts in humility. Humility can bring you success. Success will bring you power. I mean, think about this. Last chapter, we looked at Saul becoming king, okay? And when Saul became king, what we're told is that there were a few people who were excited about Saul, and they followed him. And then there were people who basically said, like, "Who is this guy? He's not going to be able to do anything for us," and they refused to submit to him. It was a very mixed response to Saul. And honestly, we left the last chapter just not even sure if Saul really had even the momentum to be able to rule. Not today. Afterward, the people said to Samuel, "Who said that Saul should not reign over us? Give us those men so we can kill them." That's power, okay? Like, the people are behind Saul at this point. He's raised an army. They love him. Success can do that. It can do that in your life, probably not in the same way. You're not going to raise an army, and people probably aren't going to offer to kill your enemies. But if you are successful in your workplace, it's going to bring you an amount of power. It might be institutional power. You might get a promotion. You might now manage other people. It might just be influence. It might be that you're the person who people want to go ask questions of, that you are in a position of honor. Right? If you're successful in your marriage, it gives you some power. I mean, I'm a husband. If I'm successful as a husband, I gain the trust of my wife, the freedom to go where I want to go and do what I want to do without her wondering if I'm telling the truth, right? Without her on Find My iPhone, seeing what I really am up to. Like, there's an amount of power that comes with a track record of success in relationships, in work, financially. If you find financial success, there's a great deal of power that comes with having the means to affect the world and other people and all of that. Success will bring you power, but here's where things get tricky. Here's where you have to pay attention to this cycle that we're going to see in the story and that you're going to see in your life. Success will bring you power, but success and power make it hard to stay humble. Right? When people start looking up to you, when you feel like you have the knowledge, the ability, the skill set to just kind of make things happen, suddenly it becomes easy to stop relying on God, right? To just kind of do things on your own. The admiration from others feels pretty good. And pretty quickly, that power, it takes you to pride. And pride is just a short step away from failure. But here's the thing. We're going to see Saul do that. We're going to see him become prideful. We're going to see him fail. But not today. I told you, this is his day, okay? This is the most successful Saul will ever be. And the reason why is because this success cycle, it doesn't have to go this way, okay? It doesn't have to. There's an off-ramp right here, and it's back to humility. You can skip pride and failure if you stay humble, if you recognize God's goodness to you, if you understand that you're not successful because of your own doing. You can stay humble, you can keep enjoying success, you can let it go as long as you don't let your power turn into pride. And today, that's what Saul does. Look at his response. They say, "Hey, let's go kill all the people who didn't like Saul." And Saul says, "No, But Saul ordered, "No one will be executed this day. For today the Lord has provided deliverance in Israel." Who provided deliverance in Israel? The Lord. 330,000 men were following Saul into battle, but he says, no, it wasn't me. He's the one who united them all. He did it. But he says, no, God is the one who provided deliverance in Israel. He stays humble, and because he stays humble, this remains a remarkable success. Everyone is on Saul's side. They love him. There's a party that begins, and Samuel recognizes this moment. Samuel's the prophet, the priest who anointed Saul the king, but he was at the first anointing. He was there. He saw the mixed reaction. It wasn't that impressive. Now Saul has the love of the people, and so Samuel says, let's do it again. Let's renew our vows, okay? Then Samuel said to the people, come, let us go to Gilgal so we can renew the kingship there. Let's do the party the right way this time. Saul is king. He's going to lead. We love him. Let's make this legitimate. And so all the people went to Gilgal, and there in the Lord's presence, they made Saul king. There they sacrificed fellowship offerings in the Lord's presence, and Saul and all the men of Israel rejoiced greatly. They're worshiping God. They're giving him the credit. They're reveling in their success. This is one of the high points of their whole lives as Israelites, as God's people at this point. I wonder if you can think of a time in your life when you've been there at the highest mountaintop. And it's an interesting thing that happens here, which is that everybody's partying, everybody's rejoicing. And then Samuel, he takes things a different direction, right? Samuel's this man of God. He's been with Israel through the good and the bad. And Saul's now really king. Everybody loves him. And Samuel was kind of the de facto leader. And now his time's coming to an end, and he knows it. It's okay. It's okay. Samuel's time has come. Saul's in. And so Samuel just kind of decides that this is also going to be his retirement party. And he gives a speech at the end, just kind of his farewell. Saul's in, I'm out, and here's the last thing I'm going to say to you. And it starts off a little interesting. Samuel says, hey, here I am. I'm done. My whole life I've spent leading you. And does anybody have anything bad to say about me? That's where we're going to start. Does anyone have any accusation to make? Did I steal anything from you? And the people go, no. You know, did I wrong you in any way? And the people go, no. And then Samuel really doubles down, and he's like, as God as your witness, is there any accusation to make against me? And the people go, no. And then Samuel says, okay, good. Now it's my turn. Let me tell you what I think about you, okay? God's been so good to you, so gracious, so trustworthy. You were wicked. You didn't trust him at all. You demanded a king for yourself. Like, you brought judgment. Like, I'm sick of you guys, basically, is what Samuel's saying. And best of luck now with Saul, but you just got to know, like, you really screwed things up by demanding a king. And then he makes it even worse. I mean, the retirement party is just really going downhill at this point. And he says, and actually, just to prove to you how crazy it is that you rejected God as your king, watch this. And he calls down a thunderstorm from heaven, and the thunderstorm comes and like destroys their crops right before the harvest. And the people are trembling in fear. I mean, they're begging Samuel to pray to God that they're not destroyed. And I mean, this is the whole thing. The day's really taking a turn. And then Samuel kind of softens. They're begging him to pray to God. And he says, okay, look, don't be afraid, which is kind of funny, right? Like, I just call down thunder from heaven. Don't be afraid. God's not going to destroy you. He's going to have grace. And there's a moment right now. You guys have trusted him. You've been faithful. Saul is on a roll. And he's saying, if you stay faithful, if you stay humble, God will continue to give you success. But hear this warning. This is the mic drop from Samuel. This is the last thing that he has to say in his speech. He says, as for me, I vow that I will not sin against the Lord by ceasing to pray for you. I will teach you the good and right way. Above all, fear the Lord and worship him faithfully with all your heart. Stay humble, worship God, give him the glory. Consider the great things he has done for you. However, if you continue to do what is evil, both you and your king will be swept away. Like, you're riding high right now, 300,000 men following you, like you think you're all that. Don't forget, if you get prideful, if you reject God, it's going to be so easy for God to just swipe you away. Samuel's warning is that pride will take you from success to failure. It just will. If you let success go to your head, if you let the power that comes with it, it is such a short trip to go from power to pride. And once you're in pride, failure is almost guaranteed. And it may not be the failure that the world sees. There's plenty of prideful people in the world who, never go bankrupt. They don't get fired. They don't become not famous anymore or whatever. But God is bigger than that. He sees everything. He is a God of justice. And there is failure that comes with pride, and it might be in your family. It might be your relationship with your kids. It might just be in your relationship with God. You don't know how God is going to right the scales eventually, but he will. And so Samuel says, don't do it. Take the off-ramp. Choose humility. Don't let it go to your head. Where are you at in this cycle here? What is the success that you're chasing? How do we think about this story as followers of Jesus? How do we let success in life not bring us to pride and failure? It's a really interesting thing to look at what Jesus says around success, because he actually talks quite a bit about it. And what Jesus does is he takes success and he turns it on its head in a way. He says, the success that you often chase after, that I often chase after, it might actually just be the wrong kind of success. That might be the problem. So this is what Jesus has to say in Matthew chapter 20. He says, whoever wants to become great among you, right? Whoever wants to find success, that's what it means to become great. Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. What Jesus is putting his finger on here is that there's a kind of success that almost all of us are chasing after. It's the kind of success that puts us first, that puts us in the position we want to be in, that achieves our desires, that gets what we want. That's the kind of success we like to chase. And if that is your version of success, it is nearly impossible for that kind of success to not make you prideful. How could it not? Getting what you want, like putting yourself in the position, of course that's going to make you prideful. What Jesus says is, I'm actually calling you to a different kind of success. It's the kind of success that Jesus actually shows us with his life. It's the success of Jesus, who didn't hold on to the power that he had, that he came to earth as an infant, who suffered alongside of us, who went to the cross, who laid down his desires, who laid down his life for us, who allowed God to be the one to lift him up. Jesus is saying, that is my version of success. Will you follow me in those footsteps? And see, the reality is that that's the only way to follow Jesus. It's to turn things upside down. We started this story by saying that things kind of start in humility, right? The truth is, in our relationship with Jesus, that isn't where we start. The only way to come to Jesus is through failure. It's to say, God, I've failed. I've messed up. I've gone my own way. I've sinned against you. I've tried to make me king. I've done what I've wanted, not what you've wanted. That is the only way to come to Jesus, is with empty hands and a recognition of failure, and to let Jesus be the one to bring you to humility, to seek him, and to, in your humility, let Jesus be the one to give you success. Let Jesus be the one to wipe your slate clean, to forgive you of your sins, to give you life that you haven't deserved. That is the only way to come to him. It is not by us just choosing to be humble people who always get it right. It is to come to him and say, we are failures. And maybe as you thought about success this morning and what you're chasing with your life, maybe this is just the first thing you need to recognize, is that it's time to come to Jesus with your failure. It's time to say, I need you, Jesus. Would you forgive me of my sins? Would you wipe my slate clean? Would you give me the life that I've been trying to build, but I can't on my own? that is the beginning of a life full of all kinds of amazing success that you'll never see coming because of what Jesus does that you can never accomplish on your own. But maybe you know Jesus already, and this is a part of your journey. This is something that happens over and over again. This is a reminder we need every day. And so I just invite you this morning as we close, whatever you are looking for in your life right now, whatever kind of success you want to find, would you bring it to Jesus this morning? And would you bring it actually in failure? Would you come to Jesus and say, without you, I'm not enough, God. I'm not the one who's going to bring about success in my life. It's going to have to be you. And so would you do it? Let's pray together. Jesus, we thank you for your patience and your faithfulness to us in so many failures, in so many times when we've made the same mistakes and we've been prideful for the nth time, when we come back, and thank you for the way that you love us in that moment, that you don't relish to rub our face in it, that you don't laugh, that you don't just tell us, I told you so, that you meet us in the lowest point, in our failures, in our humility, that you delight in lifting us up. And so would you help us to do that now, God? Would you help us to lift up our eyes to you, to be the one who leads us, who guides us, who gives success to the things in our life? And would you help us to chase the success that matters, not that we would be lifted up, but that you would be lifted up, that we would give our lives to love others and be witnesses of your kingdom in this world. Help us set our eyes on the things that are right, that you love, that you care about. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.